the one that changed, it made his name from Bergen. So this is a guy that must have gone away, because he was born in Pilsen, that little village.
Mm-hmm.
And then he got married in Kampen. I don't know where that is. They got married again at that same church in Pilsen.
Mm-hmm.
But he's the one that added the Van Bergen.
Oh, God.
So,
Almost like Van
and then-
Bergen. Yeah, Remcha. They talk like that all the time. Those names were so common over there. It was just, see, here's.
yeah, that's the family that was.
Mm-hmm.
And then somewhere around here, let's see, yeah, that's her. And then with this guy, he was, so they eventually moved to this.
Gruthusen. And they came from, you said up on.
From Pilsen,
Pilsen.
right. So he was born in 36, so sometime, got married in 34. So around 34, 35, they moved to
Gruthusen.
Gruthusen.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody else, this is the wife again.
Mm-hmm.
And then he moved, or immigrated in 1901 through Baltimore,
Mm-hmm.
out of Bremen.
And he came to, died in Faribault
Yeah.
County, yep. Hmm. Those names are all so familiar, because when you were, this was.
And this must be the church that you were talking about
Mm-hmm.
in Pewson.
Mm-hmm. Mm. And there they are, yep. Down there they call her Dina.
Yep.
Hmm.
There's inaccuracies. I mean, again, like I was saying, it's Ubi, not
Mm.
Obo, and it's Josie, not Jesse. And I think Grandma was born in August.
August.
15th of August.
Mhm.
So it's, a lot of this stuff was taken off of handwritten records.
Oh, yeah, so
where
they're
people
not,
can.
yeah, where people,
It was a handwritten record, and they wrote it down by hand, and they put it in another
yeah,
document by hand, and so eventually it gets messed up.
yeah, that's the cemetery where Grandpa and them are buried, yeah. But see, Meyer, there was such a conflict about that, because sometimes you would see it with a M-E, whatever.
Yeah, this is what I got, Miejar.
Here's some that,
Okay.
of Gruthusen.
Yeah,
This was a store now.
but what was it?
I don't know, wait a minute. I can't tell you, but I could, I'll ask this gal, I can ask her, but, this is the church.
Okay.
And there's John Albers, the woman I'm talking to, she's a daughter of him, and that's, the people over there, this George Berg that we stayed with, he talked about, see, these big farms were called Bergs. I don't think they were spelled B-E-R-G. Oh,
That's yours.
thank you. I don't think they were spelled B-E-R-G. I wonder if they weren't spelled B-U-R-G. But they'd have a
Right.
beautiful house, just like a castle. And then all these people lived in these little villages. And then they had to go to work. And this George that I visited, that George Berg, he said, he couldn't talk English, but his little granddaughter would tell me what he'd say. He had his snoot full of that. They treated him just like slaves, They were just terrible.
Well, that's
They'd
what they
have to
were,
go out early in
basically.
the morning and work all day.
Mhm.
And sometimes their wives even had to do some things. And then they lived in this house, and had, give me that picture there, Gene. That's a poor picture of the house. I think.
Which
have
one?
we-
You
We've
want-
got another one, haven't we? But you've seen a
Big
picture of
house?
that, I think.
Yeah.
But anyhow, this is I think this is more the back side of it. But in this part, they kept a cow. They had a cow on the one end of where
Mhm.
they got their milk and stuff. And
Yeah.
we went in this house, which is fine. See, you can see the church. They live close to the church. But they above the where they had their stove where they dry the meat, they had a rod that came out where they would hang the meat to dry it from the
Over the
heat.
stove.
And then they had beds in the wall, like it was just they had kept it. This fellow that bought it was a businessman from Dusseldorf, and they used it as a summer home because it was close to the North Sea. So they'd come down there and stay in the summer. And they were just really nice people. They let us come through the house, and he took us all the way up along the coast there, up to where they had come from and stuff. And it was real interesting. And he was real good about taking us around, you know,
Mhm.
taking us to the cemeteries
That
and
must have been
stuff
fun
like
for
that.
Grandma.
Yeah, it was really good. There, and then the one fellow that lived there could remember, like my grandpa and them. They see, because the house that we stayed in belonged to one of the sisters before, and then then grandma and grandpa lived in this house, and then the grandparents there. So he said, those paths you walk, and I used to watch your great grandpa walk from there down to that house all the time. You know, it was fun to stay in that house.
Yeah.
You know, the room I slept in was kind of a little storm. It had a lot of wine in it and all this. But it was just fun to stay with him, because when she was cooking, she had this beautiful little cook stove. It was pretty enamel front. She was making soup. She'd go out the garden and wash something up, come in, put it in the soup. Pretty soon she'd be in the garden again, and she'd put something else. And she'd wait on me like I was a little kid.
Now this person was
George Berg, the son of okay, let's see now. I got to get my wits straight again. Whew.
so
It
this was a
it was the son of Emo. It was this George,
okay.
and then and we went to visit this brother.
Okay, so this was your grandfather.
Yeah, this was
So
grandpa.
this would have
and
been this was a great uncle.
yeah,
And this was
his son.
a son.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then I met these two. I got to know, and I got to know this gal.
Okay.
And of course, I knew you because you.
So and this was a person that you're staying at, George.
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
So
And
they
they-
still live in the same. They were the people that in the picture that you gave me
Mhm.
on the bench, probably.
Mhm.
Okay. So they still live
Yeah,
in next to that.
yeah.
in
They
that-
still
in this-
live right next to it. They still live
Okay.
in the same house. There,
Right.
there was this house up, these two houses up here, and then you went down the hill a little ways, and there was this house down there.
Actually, I'm
And
sure
so
that
they
they're
went
probably not
back
alive
and
anymore.
forth.
I think.
No, but
Because when was it that you went there?
75.
Yeah. So that was
But this
4 years ago.
this couple that took us around a lot, the gal that I'm talking to in Buffalo Center,
Okay.
all of her relatives still live here.
Okay.
She has a lot of relatives back there. This was a younger couple. They called her Mimi. I don't know what her real
Yeah.
name was, but they took us around a lot too. And they're still living, I'm sure. But she's got some information she'll give me, and she said some of this you can just have, you know.
Okay.
She's kept up pretty well. Of course, she said I talk to them all the time in Germany
Yeah.
because she has her family over there, a lot of it, you
Right,
know. So,
right.
and we used to go visit her dad when he was alive in Buffalo Center. And so they remembered Mom and I more because I'd go with Mom a lot after we came back from Germany. Then we went and visited them more,
Mhm,
you know.
mhm.
And so, and when we were little, then these Fredericks and them used to visit a lot. But then as years passed, you never saw them anymore,
Right. Right.
you know.
Yeah.
In fact, across the street from me in Ray, his wife was a Fredericks. And of course, her dad was my mother's first cousin, you know. But it's just, it kind of gets scattered out. There's one, yeah, some of their grandchildren live in Ray yet.
Yeah.
So, but,
Well, that was, like I said, it was interesting to read about it, that part of Germany, which I didn't know anything about. You know, I had no idea where they were from until I got the map out and saw how close to the ocean they were, or North Sea. but it was, when you read about it, I mean, they all left at the same time. I mean,
Mhm.
half of the villages would leave,
Mm-hmm.
but they all came here.
Yes.
I mean, here, not United States, but you know, northern Iowa, Buffalo Center. So that's why you're related to everybody, because they all came from the same villages and they all moved together
That's right,
and set up shop.
yeah.
So,
And Grandpa and them lived,
and they all did it at the same time, which is,
Yeah.
you know, so they all, that's why they all kept speaking German, because they, you know, so it must have been fascinating to be down here.
Yeah, it was comical too, when they get together, because like Dad and Isaac would talk Norwegian, and Ma and Annie would talk German, and we didn't learn either language, which is sad.
Right.
Now, if we just spent more time with Grandma, because Grandma was real jolly. She was, I always think, now some of my sisters and them say, no, they don't remember that. I said, well, I do, because I stayed there so much. Betty had neck surgery of some kind.
So
when she
now
was-
they lived in Buffalo Center the entire time?
No, they
No.
lived on a farm by Rape. They lived quite a few years on that farm.
Okay.
And so when Betty had this surgery, I was just a little kid, so Grandma and Grandpa kept me, and I guess I stayed there like 6 weeks, so I didn't want to go home. I wanted to
'Cause
stay
they were,
with them.
they were fun.
And Grandma used to try to teach us some things, and I'm gonna ask this, and she told all about when they came over on that ship,
Mhm.
how terrible it was, you
Mhm.
know, because there was one woman on there whose little kid was sick and died, and she didn't want this baby buried at sea.
But-
And so she'd hold this baby all the time, and when they'd say, how's the baby, she'd say, fine, you know, the baby's fine. And she didn't want that baby buried at sea, so she always acted like the baby was fine.
But, and
it
and
was
they
dead.
did, but did they know that it was dead, or, no, she just
No,
covered it up?
I
you know?
suppose that they'd come in and check on people or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But the trip over must have been really hard, you know, because they had two little kids. I'm trying to think of how old Yubi and Josephine would have been.
I can tell you. Well, in 1910, so, and they came over in what did I say, 02?
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere, yeah, 1902. So 8 years earlier, so Yubi would have been 3, and Josephine would have been 2
Yeah.
and 3
Yeah,
toddlers.
yeah, two little kids, and then, you know, the conditions on the ships were not
No, no,
good,
no.
you know what I mean?
It wasn't a cruise ship.
No, it wasn't a cruise ship, is right. And then they came here, and they lived by Buffalo Center, and they called it the Chicago Stock Farm. It was some fellow from out east or wherever who bought this place, and Grandpa and them lived in a little, they had a couple of houses on there for hired people. And they lived in one of those, and eventually it was moved to Buffalo Center.
Okay.
But
But they lived outside of Buffalo Center
yeah,
when they first
about,
came.
not even a mile out of Buffalo Center.
About a
It's just
half a mile.
About a half mile west. It was a big,
North
kind
side
of
of
a
the road.
famous, it
Great
was
big
always
barn.
famous as a big Chicago stock farm.
Got
Well,
a-
he was listed as a common laborer
Mm-hmm.
in farming. So
And
I took it from that he didn't farm at that time. He was working for
No, he was working for someone.
someone.
And I don't know how he ended up getting to farm this place by rate, but they lived there from the time I was a little kid. You know, that's where they always lived, and they milked cows, and Grandpa, they farmed the land, Grandpa and George.
So
Lambert,
you're-
you mean?
But,
Lambertburg?
yeah,
That was in Minnesota, that farm.
yeah, it was in Minnesota, yeah, it
Right
was
on
right
the
next to
state
the
line.
Iowa line, yeah,
on the rake side of, or on the Minnesota side of rake.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
On the north side of Lake.
I'm trying to think, I know somebody would help me think, trying to think of the guy who rented that land to them. But I know they were there for many, many years.
But Grandma never lived there. My Geraldine never lived there. She must have been
No.
married by then and gone.
Well, she stayed, when she went to high school, she stayed in Hampton with her sister, who's Ray's mother? God,
Her sister was Josephine.
See, when I was
Yeah.
a little kid, we lived right neighbors to Lambert Berg.
Oh,
so-
I went to country school with Raymond and, you know, and they lived about a mile from us, or half a mile, whatever you
Half a
wanna
mile
call
up.
it.
I used to walk by his house all the time.
That's what.
and his name was pronounced Lambert,
Lambert.
We always said Lambert.
I don't know.
Lambert, but there's no B in it.
I know, but we always said
Well,
Lambert.
that's the way-
Lambert, but that's what he was called, Lambert.
Well, that's
Yeah.
his
I mean, that's easy to say.
pronunciation seemed like,
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah.
as I remember.
I'm gonna ask this gal in Buffalo
just-
too, because.
Well, the other thing, I mean, and he was listed someplace as Lambert Charles Berg,
Could be.
Mhm.
but in this, he is Lambert U, which is UB, I'm sure, Berg. And that makes more sense. I mean, Charles is not a German name,
No,
and UB was the family name that kind of kept propping up. So he must have at some point changed it.
Could have.
I mean, they all kept changing their names. I don't.
oh, that's what I think is.
You know.
We had that, I got a niece who went to Norway and went to the place in Berg, and she come out there, well, she said, how many names did we have anyhow, you know? God, there was Johansson, and there was Leland, and there was Lilleland, and there was, oh, I forget.